This is Miss Lizzie, and I want to welcome you to the Queen Lizzie podcast. Together, we will go through the history of Rosewood, Florida, and watch as the once prosperous town rises out of the bloodshed, fire, and ash to reveal the people, the memory, and the legacy of Rosewood. Watch every Thursday on Facebook and YouTube, or listen to our story on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Hello, everybody. I am Lizzie Robinson Jenkins, representing not only the Rosewood Foundation, but the personal testimonies and history of cherished friends and family. You are watching the Queen Lizzie podcast. Today, we are talking with Mr. Ray McKnight, who is a friend of mine. He is a former manager of Winn-Dixie and a former representative of
Allstate Insurance Company.
Allstate Insurance Company, and now he is here today, and we are going to talk about a whole lot of interesting things that's happening in our community. Welcome, Ray.
Thank you, Liz. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me.
I am honored to have you.
Thank you.
We've been knowing each other for a long time.
Very long time.
Yes. And today we are going to, first of all, I'm going to welcome Campus USA Credit Union, because they have been very, very, very supportive, and so has Melvin Law. Very supportive, always here for the community. Not only Rosewood, he supports the entire community. And a special shout out to my friend Greg Bradley of Allstate. He too is very supportive and very involved in the community. So Ray, today we're going to talk about the 100 Black men. Would you like to give us a background information?
Sure. Again, I'm Ray McKnight. I'm the president and chairman of 100 Black Men Greater Florida, Gainesville. And we are a nonprofit. And our primary focus, we have 4 areas that we really focus on. That's mentoring our youth, education, economic empowerment, and health and wellness. So those are the pillars of the organization. And our primary thrust is on the mentoring side. We just feel that if we can get to young people early, they can make a greater impact in how they interact in the community. Hopefully some of the behavior issues that's out there we can offset with some of the mentoring we do. And our motto is what they see is what they'll be. So that piece is really important to us as an organization.
Okay, great. And you know what? And these are some of the same men that I have been working with on my Rosewood projects and programs. The same people we need to educate collaboratively our younger generation. And if we educate them with our history, which is Rosewood history, it was really ugly, but it's who we are, okay? And we must tell that history. We must teach it in school. We must not allow our history to be sanctioned. It is who we are.
Absolutely.
We built it, we made it, we lived it.
Right.
And I'm so glad to be a part of your group. And when I say a partner with your group and your young boys and the 4 stages, did you say stages of the 4?
Well, our 4 pillars are
Pillars.
mentoring, education,
Okay.
economic empowerment, and health and wellness.
Okay, and Rosewood, as the president of Rosewood, I enjoy mentoring them. And you were about to say something?
Yes, you talk about your foundation. Thank you for the work that you do. I can recall as a child, my dad used to take us down to Cedar Key fishing all the time.
Oh.
And every time we passed, he made it a point to share with us about Rosewood. And going down, you see the little sign, and that was the only thing that was kind of visible there for a while. But, I know some properties back in there, but he did share that story with us often every time we, went down to do some fishing in that area.
Oh, perfect, because your mom is from Levy County, isn't she?
From Williston. My mom's family is from the Williston area, Gertrude Brown and Rosetta Battle, so...
Okay. Okay.
several generations from that area.
Okay. So we all may be related. My mom would say to us anyway. All of us are related.
In some manner, I
In
agree.
some manner, yes. Well, I'm glad to know that your father educated you all on Rosewood. It's the same little Rosewood. The one thing we have now is a historical marker that I think it was 2003. I started working with Governor Jeb Bush staff to make sure Rosewood had a historical marker. It took me a few weeks. However, I continued to call the office, and at the third time I called, hey, they knew I was not playing with them. So finally they agreed, and yes, we do have a marker. And to follow up with that marker, I invited Governor Jeb. I want people to know he is Florida's, for the people who are listening out there, Florida Governor Jeb Bush. I invited him to Rosewood to dedicate the marker, and he willingly accepted. Did an outstanding job speaking about Rosewood, sent a resolution and also a letter of support. So when I was able to work through and with people and get them to realize the only thing I want to do is keep the history alive, preserve it. It's not about attacking anyone, because my mother's sister was a school teacher. And she said, baby, you must research, tell this history, and never attack anyone, because the people living today did not create Rosewood.
Right.
Just keep the history alive. And that's what I tried to do. And you were talking about our kids, mentoring them and making sure, too, that they are headed in the right direction. What age level do you all work with?
Primarily, we try to focus on middle school, and we chose that segment. That's kind of those preteen years where the kids are most impressionable, and we think we can make some long-term successes with that group. Starting, with middle school, help them out through that era, and then on into high school if they need it. Certainly we don't turn anyone away. We've had young folks as young as 10, and we have a few individuals that we're working with that's high school seniors. So again, but our focus is the middle school group. But again, we're open to try to make an impact as positive as we can with all young men.
And that is much needed. And I attended recently an event at the Aviation.
Aviation Academy is our signature product. We do that each June. And that product kind of centers around the STEM program.
Okay.
And what we do, we decided on an industry that the kids may not be that familiar with, which is aviation and things. So we have two individuals that, one's a current pilot, Dave Bridges is a 747 captain, and then Matt Bowman is a retired lieutenant commander from the Navy. So both of those individuals was instrumental in helping us establish the academy. But we take the young folks out, we partner with Gainesville, the flight school that they have.
Yes.
And we show them everything from, talk about careers in aviation maintenance, air traffic controlling, aviation, weather, of course, piloting as well. This year when we had the deal, we was fortunate that there was a Black Hawk helicopter crew in.
Yeah.
So they showed the kids the plane, talked about their, responsibilities with in their mission. We took them up in the aircraft. So a lot of these kids, have never flown.
Yes.
So we have several pilots that volunteer their time and their gas to come out and take the kids up on a flight through the pattern around the airport. And then we do a piece, Ricardo Foster did a great piece around careers with drones. The kids see them and they think they're just such a toy, but a lot of work, with drones. I remember my career with Allstate. We used drones a lot of times doing national catastrophes to assess the damage and what areas we needed to get to, prioritize where we needed to go first to help people.
All right, and I want you to know that I am honored to have been invited to your June event. That was your
That's our signature event. We do that
Signature
usually the
event.
third week in June.
Yes.
And we have to kind of work around the airport schedule and around the power
Yes.
schedule, but we try to have it the same time each year around that third weekend in June.
It was awesome.
Well, thank you.
I enjoyed it. Do you know I went up in one of the planes and I had the honor to taxi down, whatever, I'm thinking it's called, in taxi.
It's taxing.
Okay. I was taxing with, don't remember his name, Ford.
Gary and Ford.
Gary and Ford,
Ford's one of our
right.
pilots.
Yes,
that-
yes,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed it. But you know what else impressed me? There were families, lots of families, and children and girls also. So do you have?
We don't, like I said, we don't count anybody
That's
out. We
right.
try to focus on young men,
Uh-huh.
but for that event, as well as most of our events that's open to the public, we will allow young ladies to be part of that
Okay.
deal. Mentoring deals, sometime one-on-one. We kind of try to stick with the men, but we've had young ladies to come as well. So again, if a kid need help and we can, like I say, instill something positive in their life, we don't want to turn anyone away. This year we had 101 kids register, so this was our largest crowd, and the families appreciate it. They come out and they spend the day with them.
Yes.
We share a lot of stuff. We had the University of Florida Air Force ROTC.
Yes.
One of the commanders came out and spoke to the kids as well. So we try to show them all aspects of how aviation touched everyone's life.
Right.
It was not planned, but there was a medical emergency, and in that same hangar, they keep the aircraft that do the ambulance for the aircraft.
Right.
So they had to get it out of the hangar, so the kids saw how they pull that out and how quickly they get in the air, because there was a need for that aircraft to be at a location. So that was kind of, unfortunately, someone was hurt, but it was kind of a nice piece to see how that piece is done.
Awesome. I was super impressed.
Yes.
And that's why you were here today. I said he
Thank
needs
you.
to come in and tell the world about what you're doing in the community.
Yeah.
People don't know. And I am so impressed. I am so excited to know and to be a part of. I think I'm a part of what you all are doing.
You are, and our focus, while we do some things that our signature product, and we're a title sponsor, 100 Black Men of Greater Florida Gainesville, is about helping anyone that's doing the work
Yes.
to try to help our kids. We was just at Stop the Violence rally with Pastor Carl Anderson on Saturday.
Okay.
We had a presence there, and again, sharing with the kids that came through about having a safe school year, doing the right things.
Right.
Several of our members was able to provide some inspirational comments. Chief Joe Dixon with Gainesville Fire Rescue, Derek Lord with the State Attorney's Office. I still call him Chief, but Tony Jones was part of it. So it was a great event to try to get our kids off to a great start with the school year. On tomorrow, we're partnering with GRU and Duke Energy on an energy academy.
Okay.
Very similar to the aviation piece. I want to share with the kids about how the STEM program offer opportunities in engineering and in the energy sector. So looking forward to that piece. It's from 8 to 4 at the GRU facility on North Main Street.
Perfect.
Registration's open today on Eventbrite until 5 o'clock. And then we got to cut it off. But looking forward to the event. It's our first partnership with the utility industry. But again, wanted to try to get young folks engaged in that sector as well.
Perfect. Perfect. And I am so excited because all of us need to work together. And that's what we do well. We work together to make Alachua County and our kids better.
Absolutely.
Thanks. It's about time for our first half. We are going to head to a quick break, and we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, We won't back down.
I am Black History.
I am Rosewood Black History.
I am Florida
and America's Black History, and you are too.
January 1st, 1923, the KKK insurrectionists attacked Rosewood, killing 5, burning it down.
Because a white woman lied and cried, a black man assaulted me. Rosewood redevelopment is on its way.
Want to help? Visit rosewoodflorida.com.
Welcome back to Queen Lizzie Podcast, recorded right here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Coach Spurrier's own podcast room. We are here with Ray McKnight. The Queen Lizzie Podcast is brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union, live from the Meldon Law Gator Studios at Spurrier's Gridiron. Special thanks to Greg Bradley with Allstate Insurance. Okay, we are back, and I want you to know that I have just completed a book, and it's called Lizzie's Rosewood Race. You may go to my website or Facebook and click on www.rosewoodflorida.com and order the book, or you may order it from Barnes & Nobles or Amazon.com. It's there for you. The book is very different. It's interesting. When I was growing up, and many students or people my age, when we were growing up, we did not see a black face in a book. Okay? Our books were hand-me-downs, sometimes marked through, pages torn out of. And I wanted to make this book different. So I met a young man over through social media, and he has 3 black daughters, girls he adopted, and they are all extremely bright. They play different instruments, and you will see them later on in a video. But anyway, he allowed the use of his daughters' faces, beautiful faces. And these faces help me tell my black story. And it's an interesting story. Every child must read this book. And when I sell this book to adults, the first thing the parents say to me, or the grandparents, make sure you autograph this book to my child or my grandchild. And I do. And that's what they want, because it's an interesting book. It tells my story through butterflies and animals' voices. It's just different. It's a different kind of book. And as I said, you may order it from Barnes & Noble or Amazon.com, or you may find it on my website, rosewoodflorida.com. So we are going to also talk about violence. I have done a commercial on violence, what we need to do, or how we can work together to prevent violence, because it's really violent, and we need to, as I said, come together, work together. So Ray is going to tell us about an upcoming workshop.
A couple things going on, Lizzie. You're absolutely correct. The violence in the community is scary. You know, you don't have to be engaged. You can just be at the wrong place at the wrong time and become a victim. But on Sunday and Monday, August the 6th and 7th, the city of Gainesville at the Hilton is doing a seminar around violence. What can we do? I think on Sunday, the primary thrust will be to hear from, community folks, citizens, on what the challenges are and more importantly, what are some of the solutions. And then later that afternoon, there will be resources available that folks can get to share with their young folks. And then Monday will be a series of workshops and more conversation around the piece. But more importantly, trying to get folks to come out and then to try to execute the strategies that we come up with. And 100 Black Men of Greater Florida Gainesville, our commitment, regardless of the organization, if the focus is around stopping the violence and helping our youth, you can count on us to be a part of that conversation.
Absolutely, great. And if I am available, I will be in the audience too. And we would love to invite the churches. Please,
Absolutely.
churches, please, preachers, okay? We need your help. We need you there because as Mr. McKnight just said, you can just be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And bullets, they don't know any of us. And people, I almost said people are crazy these days. They are not as responsible as we were and as responsible as our elders were. We used to fight. Fighting is nothing new. Do you remember, Ray? This was a funny kind of fight after school. There were a couple of guys or whatever, and we would draw a circle
Yes.
and say, "You step in my circle."
Step in my circle or knock this chip off my shoulder, those things to try to engage. But like you said, you'll have that fight.
Yes.
And later that afternoon, you was playing basketball or football or walking home from school. It didn't carry over to an act of violence. It did not. And,
it did not.
And I have, 5 grandkids and the oldest 2 grandsons. I'm talking to them constantly about conflict resolution without, engaging in violence.
Exactly.
And things. You got to be able to have a conversation and try to work out your differences. And we all gonna have differences, but it doesn't come down to an old-fashioned shootout.
Shootout. Where are the guns coming from? We don't know that, but we need to please come out and support the event, the workshop that's taking place at the Hilton. They are looking for us to help. And as I said, I have made a commercial, a gun violence commercial, and I'm very proud of it, and I play it sometime on my podcast just for people to hear and review it. It is important that we work together and stop, the gun violence, because that affects all of us, and that takes us back to Rosewood. The violence was just so unnecessary there, but we're better than that, and we've got to do better. And something else you were telling me about earlier, Ray, I've forgotten. We've talked about all of the workshops.
We did, and I'll share. 100 Black Men did a PSA also, and we shared it at the Stop the Violence event on Saturday at Santa Fe.
Okay.
And we had community folks there as well as individuals who had been victims of gun violence. And some survivors, some unfortunately was the parents of some of the kids that didn't survive. And just to hear their stories and to hear their plea about, getting our hands around this piece is so important. You talk about community. I recall growing up, everybody, whether it was your parents or the next door neighbor or the school teacher or someone from the church, everybody was vested in your interest in your education and your survival and you growing up.
Exactly.
And we got to get back to that piece if we're going to save this generation of young folks.
We've got to. We have got to, because it was easy growing up back in our day.
It was.
And like you said, we have our little fights, and that was the end of it. We were best friends the next day. No one really wanted to knock that chip anyway off your shoulder, but it was fun. It was I guess, growing up. But I tell people growing up on a farm and in art, character building that's what we learned. We learned to work hard. And I guess we worked hard and we didn't have time to think about shooting people.
Right.
So together, hopefully, we will continue to do what we need to do, especially if not that, we'll get out there on those planes. I did tell Mr. Ford that I wanted to learn how to fly. I would like to be a pilot. I don't know if I'm going to follow through with it, but I did feel really ready at the time I talked about learning to fly. And I'm so proud of the many things that you all have done. Let me ask you this about the schools. You said kids starting at 7th grade. Do you have any select schools? Or
Right now, we still partner with Caring and Sharing.
okay.
And we actually considering doing some work with Williams Elementary. We had a lot of requests from that elementary school. So we're looking at that piece. We're going to actually be meeting with some folks on Thursday to try to lay out the groundwork, and then of course we got to get all of our volunteers, their background and their application done with the Alachua County School Board, so they'll be eligible to go into the schools. So we're trying to put the final pieces in place, but those are the two schools we have in mind. But again, we'll have some individuals maybe at other schools, and some of that will be some of the one-on-one mentoring that'll take place with members of the organization.
Wonderful. And I follow you. You all just had a big event. Your elegance, what was it called?
The Cotillion Battalion. That was
the Cotillion Battalion.
That event really, I think, surprised all of us to a degree,
Including me.
how much work those young folks put into it and how committed they were. They everything from the personal presentations they gave, the drama that they did, the dances, the presentations. They did an excellent job, and we're committed to doing that event again this year.
Top of the line. It was
really was
awesome. But one other thing, I keep up with you all. I keep up with everybody. I read Facebook all the time. And you know, I talked about my book. I don't want that book banned. Okay? And it will not. I will not allow it. And I noticed, I know you're a member of Alpha Phi Alpha, and
Yes.
I noticed that you all are moving your convention.
The general president made the announcement at our general convention in Dallas that our convention was slated to be in Orlando in 25.
Florida.
Orlando, Florida. So he made the decision that we're going to move it out of Florida because of some of the, political and thing. Florida, like the rest of the U.S. and, always have been a melting pot. And now we don't look like some of that same open arms against, certain segment of ethnicity and gender. So we figure the dollars that we're going to spend, we'll spend them in a community that's a little more open-armed.
Exactly. And I need to bring that up because it's not that I'm proud, but I think you all are sending a message. Okay, you're sending a message, and this is the message that I'm trying to say. You will not block my book. You will not ban my book. It's my history. We made Florida's history. We are history makers. And it's our history. We lived it painfully, and we're going to tell it happily.
Right.
So thank you very much for being my guest today. And again, I would like to say thank you to Melvin Law, Greg Bradley, Jerry Benton, who is the director at Campus Credit Union, USA. But anyway, I am continuously humbled, honored, and blessed to meet people daily and invite them to join in peace building, healing, and reconciliation through learning about the history of Rosewood. That will wrap up today's episode. I am Queen Lizzie. Until next time, bye, and thank you very much.
Thank you for having us, Liz.
My pleasure.